let's get into some brand new upcoming games, starting off with Chernobylite 2, which is a massive, ambitious sequel to the original game that takes place in Chernobyl, and this one is much more massive, much more ambitious again, and it has a lot of action compared to the first one. Check it out. Next up, let's get into Hell is Us. The developers officially released its gameplay walkthrough, and man, it looks actually really special. The environment, the graphics, and the lore behind it, it looks really well made. This is a game made by veterans, and I think they have a lot of passion for this one, you can tell.
So Hell is Us is set to be released in 2025. It's for pretty much everything, so Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and PC. So the game is a bit of a take back to games from the 1990s. We're a team of passionate people. The average on the team is like 20 years of development experience. So we're from a different generations, and we have a lot of love for how the games in the 90s were made and how they were played and experienced, especially the fact that, there was no hand holding, there was no silver plattering. You kind of had to figure stuff out by yourself. You were really in control of your exploration and your own discoveries. And this is what we're trying to do in Hell is Us, obviously with modern flair and kind of like modern knowledge of game design and whatnot, but very much put you back in the driver's seat of your experience and of your exploration, and then the result and the joy of your discoveries. He wants to find his parents again. He wants to kind of like confront them. He's got a lot of questions for them. He understands why they abandoned him, but yet, abandonment is pretty much the biggest trauma that a child can have. And there's like a loop that hasn't been closed properly for him towards this situation and his parents. When the game starts, Remy has finally been able to infiltrate Helion during the brutal civil war that I was talking about. Remy is a ON peacekeeper. He quit his post, he went AWOL, infiltrated the country, and this is where the game starts. Remy remembers two things, and that means the players remember two things. It's that his village of birth was called Jova, and his father was the blacksmith of Jova. Those are the only clues you begin the game with, and these are the only clues that Remy also know. So equipped with this knowledge, with these clues, you begin the game and you try to find your way to Jova.
You must be lost to wander around Sinedra Forest. I'm afraid I have very little to offer. A group of strange-looking soldiers arrived here last night in an APC.
So what you're looking at now is we're having a discussion with a bloke named Ernest Cadell. He's telling us certain information, and then he tells us it's quite far, you need to hitch a ride. You might find people that are willing to give you a ride. It's up to the north of my house, so you're gonna have to use your compass, but your real compass, right, with the coordinates on it, north, south, east, west, blah, 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 and follow that. And he tells you that in the Lost Woods, in order to find your way out, just follow the wind chimes. He says, I've attached them there for my kids when they were young because they kept on getting lost in those bloody woods. And then he tells you, follow the sound of the wind chimes and you'll find your way on the other side of the woods. That's how we do it. It's very organic, it's very realistic. Someone in real life could have told you the exact same thing. So the environments, the visuals of the game are not just there to illustrate, they're there to communicate. So you need to play the game, you need to open your eyes, you need to open your ears to what NPCs tell you, and you'll find your way and you'll discover things, and you will truly own your discoveries and the great joy that comes with that. So, like I said, combat is an integral part of the game. I do want to emphasize now that we're not a Souls-like game. The game is a lot more mid-core. It's have fun, get in it, and hack and slash. It doesn't mean it's easy. It's not overly hard. There's a learning curve, there's subtleties, there's little things that we've invented just for the flair and the flavor of Hell Is Us. It's very crunchy. I think the friction is pretty good, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So there's a wide variety of enemies in the game. So we have kind of like the more common enemy type, which we call the Hollow Walker. So it's these kind of humanoid bipedal white enemies that you can see here with the holes in their faces and their chests and whatnot. So obviously there's a reason why they're called Hollow Walkers, and there's different types of them and different kind of tiers of strength and powers. But when you're facing pretty much the biggest threats in the game, it's what we call like a dual entity. So it's like a Hollow Walker has a haze inside of it. So it's when the haze is present. I'm not gonna get into the details right away of what the haze represents. It's all part of the lore and what you will figure out in the game. Here specifically, you can see a combat against a limbic entity that has multiple hazes attached to the Hollow Walker. That's when it gets really complex, it gets very overwhelming because you're alone, but you got your trusty little Cappy. So you need to use its skill. So for example, Cappy has a skill where you can distract an entity, either a haze or a Hollow Walker. You can use the forward charge, which is one of my favorite. You also have the Typhoon. You have the super dash skill, which is another one of my favorites. So you can start dashing sideways, forward, backwards, really, really fast. It gives you like this Japanese action game style. And then you also have your limbic skill. So you need to find the glyphs in the game and you need to attach them to your weapons. And this is when you start getting powers that come from these weapons that allow you to take care of these enemies in much more powerful and kind of like impressive ways. The important people that are related to your investigation, trying to find your parents, and a lot more eventually, are all stored here. They're linked together by the relationships, and now it's up to you to go and investigate about them. So as you can see here, some of the areas can be quite wide opened. This one here called the Casa Marshes is one of the bigger ones. And as I spoke quite a bit already, the game doesn't hold your hand or doesn't really tell you where to go. So out of your main leads or clues or ideas that you have in your head of what you're supposed to do or where you're supposed to go at any given moment, you will also be attracted by a lot of points of interest or just little things in the environment that pique your curiosity. And as you walk towards them or explore, that's when you'll start also making a ton of like peripheral or side discoveries on your own, things that you cannot solve right away, or things that you might think that there is a thing to be done with it when there's none, and it's all part of the fun stuff and the kind of like experience that we're providing in the game.
Next up, take a look at Moon Mystery. I've been covering this game for a long time now, and this is being made by one single developer, and let me tell you guys, this is like Interstellar the game, and I love what I'm seeing here. This is looking awesome for a one-person game.
Promise me you'll be back.
You think Amy and Ben think I'm dead?
I want to meet that new toy. What was his name? T-O-B-Y?
No! Amy! Someone might be alive there.
Sam, I think I'm being observed.
You're telling me you knew all that before and you kept it a secret? What am I doing? This is not meant to be.
If the universe is infinite, how far could your journey go?
Next up, we have the Bornless, which is looking like quite the unique experience. I think it's some kind of action, survival, extraction game, and you can control vehicles, you can explore different environments, there's a ton of different monsters to fight, and it looks quite unique. Check it out.
Light yourself a candle and hold it close. Pray the dear old Phoenix loves you the most.
This island pulls you in. And once it has you, there's no escape. I've lost track of how many corpses are my own. Sometimes I forget why I'm even here, what I'm searching for. The island didn't look like this before. Those who once called this place home have changed. The monsters they worship are even worse. This place belongs to them now. And so we fight. You, me, and all the other Seekers. It's them I fear most of all. The strangers lurking in the darkness. The treasure. The ritual. The power it offers you. I wish I could resist. But once you get a taste, there's no going back.
Next up, take a new look at Road to Vostok. This is a game again being made by one single developer. It's looking awesome, extremely realistic and hardcore, exactly what people want from these kind of games. Next up, take a look at Into the Dead. This is the official gameplay for it, and there's also a demo announcement for this game. It looks awesome.
You'll first need to access the Mexico side plate gate terminal. After we've confirmed network coverage, we can take the DHV Magellan and regroup at your position.
The problem is, not everybody wants to be part of the UCA.
That's not the plan, Sam. The UCA isn't looking to expand its borders. Just like with Mexico, they want to bring new regions into the network. Anyway, the DHV Magellan's here to back you up. As always, you'll be the one leading the way to expand the network.
What's your role in all this? You're the commander, huh?
That's right. These days I'm fragile in name only. You brought America together, helped it be reborn as the UCA. But I'm afraid the death Stranding is far from over. Humanity is still in danger. Still on the brink of extinction. Don't act like you don't see it. A lot of things changed after you went off on your own. especially within the UCA. Bridges no longer oversees the distribution network. They withdrew once things were up and running. So your friends and co-workers all went their separate ways. Within network coverage, there's no need to rely on human porters anymore. So after I closed up shop, I went and started a new group. One that handles work in regions outside the UCA. We decided to call ourselves Drawbridge.
With the support of the Chiral Network and APAS, humanity will be free from the need to move around. Bots are capable of handling deliveries.
He's alive.
He called himself a ghost, but...
We found a way back from the beach just so he could kill us.
He said he came back to get revenge on you and me.
Hey, brother. Did you miss me? Yeah, I figured you'd pay this place a visit, seeing as how I've been distributing the fruits of this fine factory all over the continent. With guns and violence, the whole damn world could be yours. Same as it ever was. Oh. Looks like you decided to trade in that rope for a stick this go-round. Well, I suppose even a porter has to pull the trigger from time to time. Oh, what about you? Hey, buddy. Are you just another soulless little husk, huh?
Let go of me!
Oh.
Pathetic guitarist, where's the rest of your band?
Next up, take a look at Kong Survivor Instinct. This is a brand new game in the King Kong universe. Next up, take a look at Bellum. This is a tactical shooter game being made by a YouTuber, which is a massive fan of tactical FPS games, so I think we're in good hands here. Check it out.
1-6, 1-1 Alpha. We're setting up VP West now.
1-1 Alpha, roger. 1-2, you're released. Six, 1-2, we're set in 30 seconds.
Net call, slant on target. Power, 0, 0, over.
Hey, check the back.
Yeah, got it.
This is 1-6. Conditions set.
Roger 1-6. You're a go to execute assault.
1-6-1-3. Eagles moving to breach.
This is 1-8. ISR's got a shooter pushing the breach.
1-3 Alpha, we have him.
Crash right side, crash right side!
What you looking like? We got a 6, this is 1-6. Using contact.
Let's go! Pick it up! Pick it up!
The interrogation subject is currently a clerk. At the Winston Research Institute.
I thought this was just an ordinary theft. I never imagined a case like this would trouble a Rome agent. Looks like there's more to it. Just before you arrested me, I got attacked. That monster. The thing. It took my leg. I didn't think it would show up again.
I don't understand what you're saying. Mother, requesting brain dive.
No, wait! Please, I beg you, I don't want to go through this again!
Next up, take a look at Transience, which is another game that's being made by a YouTuber, and this is tactical FPS single player game. I'm really looking forward to it.
About the old artists communing with nature. Now it's just a little bridge with a raided stash tucked underneath. Fane's men must have swung by and hit stashes they knew about. Well, that, or another accountant was around recently. I need to be careful.
The objective of this gameplay is to show off key features of the game while keeping the story a secret. So for the sake of this gameplay, the overall goal is to infiltrate this compound while remaining in the shadows.
I should stick to the bushes. Much harder to patrol there. At the time, mostly hope was on my mind. A natural thought process to loop around, at least for a little while. No one is safe from a little fear of circumstance.
The player will run into multiple obstacles, including sniper AI and watchtowers, security cameras, motion detectors, and scanning drones. So, if the player wants to remain hidden, they will have to make sure they keep their heads on a swivel as they move through these environments.
Would you look at that? A hole in security.
Some of our levels are a lot more linear and straightforward in design, but then you have maps like this where the player can approach the objective from a ton of different ways. Here's a look at another route a player may take to get into this compound.
A watchtower. That's new. Best not to let them trigger an alarm.
Speaking of real threats, you guys saw in the gameplay portion, we've added a full escalation system to the game, so if your presence is known to enemy AI, they will radio for backup. If they spot you, find a dead body, detect you on motion detectors or security cameras, or if you shoot at someone and don't get the kill, these are all ways that could trigger escalation. If you kill enough enemies while in active combat, certain AI will also radio in backup, so stealth is definitely key to making it through the game, which is what we wanted to do.
Next up, take a look at Last Helion, which is kind of like the OG Helldivers game. This is not Helldivers 2, but this is the top-down Helldivers game. I'm really looking forward to this one. It looks full of features.
It's simple but deadly. Choose a mission from the guild. Hunt the galaxy for your prey. Eliminate them with extreme prejudice. Secure some loot, then extract to safety, or you'll lose it all. Once you've got the basics down, get ready for missions that'll make you question your life choices. Rise through the Helion ranks and unlock new, dangerously exciting planets. Welcome to Last Helion. You've got a universe to impress, so why wait? Go prove you're more than just a shiny helmet.
Когда попадаем в эту игру, мы становимся невольными заложниками этого сюжета. Сюжет, основанный в эмоциях, ощущениях, на музыкальных поражениях, на всем том, что позволяет человеку удерживать как можно больше. Раскручивают ли собственные женские или играют в политику, а может и то и другое, есть слишком много совпадений параллелей. Темы и места и персонажи интересные, и деньги тоже разработки.
Next up, take a look at Permafrost. This is a survival open world game I'm actually really looking forward to because it's a little bit different from other survival ones. This is taking place in a completely frozen open world, and you've got a city to explore, its outskirts, forest, and it actually got gameplay footage and real gameplay footage as opposed to the day before, for example.
We had several reasons we decided to develop a survival game in the Terminator universe. The first two movies of the Terminator saga are stories about survival, with characters being hunted down by the Terminator. We really wanted to recreate this feeling of constant chase. Most of the time, you'll run until you're ready to face them. We also felt the Terminator timeline, the post-apocalyptic period, and especially the events after Judgment Day, are a perfect fit in terms of environment to set a survival game. Finally, even if already seen a couple times in the films, this period has only been partially explored. So being able to flesh this period out and showcase the life of survivors during this time, there's no greater honor as fans.
The story of the game, like the story of the movies, takes place in the USA. From an artistic and narrative point of view, the world building was extremely curated. Our goal was to be as realistic and coherent as possible in describing a world that carries the signs of the conflict narrated in James Cameron's saga. Every character, every location has something to tell, and this happens on multiple levels, considering the periods before the war, during the war, and after the war. The main inspiration definitely comes from James Cameron's movies, that we dissected in each and every part in order to fully capture their atmosphere. In particular, from the first movie we extracted the tense and suspenseful atmosphere, the sensation of being hunted down, and facing an absolutely invincible enemy. Then we've done extensive studies on its color palette, its photography, and direction. From the second movie, we mostly focused on its dynamic aspects, its action scenes and its pacing, also paying attention to the choice and variety of locations. Clearly, other sources of inspiration come from the magical decade between the 80s and 90s, where the field of sci-fi and action movies offered masterpieces, from which we recall a bit of the vibe and atmosphere in our game.
There will be various human factions that you'll need to interact with, each of them with their own vision of the world, individual objectives, and also different beliefs about Skynet and what's happening behind the scenes. Combat is realistic and hardcore, which means that if your approach isn't calculated and tactical, you can die very easily.